I think one of the things that most people are not prepared for is how rich the site is in terms of artifacts.
Yeah.
You know, the sheer numbers are staggering for people who don't know.
Staggering.
There's got to be at least 10,000 arrowheads that's come out of this jump, I suspect. Between all the private collections, between Barney and Wettlaufer and yourself and others excavated here, Coyman's whole digs, and there's got to be 10,000 just from that.
Yeah.
There's got to be hundreds of thousands still that no one's excavated. And then there's tens of thousands more out on the prairies. And I think when people hear those numbers, they're kind of having trouble registering this, but you have to put it in this context that people were here for almost 6,000 years, not using the jump all that time. There appears to be gaps. But nonetheless, a lot of that time, and that there were probably times in there where they were here not only every year, but maybe even several times in one year. And at any time they came, they may have been hunting 100, 200, 300 buffalo at once. Many of the animals survived the fall, had to be dispatched off at the bottom, and many of them might have taken 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 arrows per animal. And then there was all the arrows that missed any animal at all and just went into the ground, and the tips broke off and they were thrown away. And so you could just picture the sheer... I once estimated that maybe 150,000, 120,000 buffalo died here over the time it was used. Very ballpark figure, but that could easily mean a lot more than 120,000 arrowheads. If
easily.
It could be 1 million, you know, for that kind of numbers. It's a staggering sight in that sense. And when we dug out there, the thing that impressed me was like it was almost like a wall of artifacts. You excavate down through the upper layer of grass, and there's a little bit of silt and sod that's formed now just in the last 100 years, and then boom, it's like a wall of rock. The firing stones, the boiling stones, the buffalo bone.
Ash.
Yeah, it's just like tink, tink, tink. You know, you're done working with any large tool, and you shift to all the little things that you pry something out with, because you could not get a shovel in it. You couldn't. You could jump on it till your feet were blue, and you're not going to move it because it's just solid artifacts, and they're mostly rock and durable. So, an amazing place. You know, the record of cooking and boiling and all the things that went on down on the prairie there. I like to picture the sort of scenes at night, what it would have been like with the teepees lit up like fires inside a candle or something, and people out, they'd probably be working round the clock, you know, cooking, smashing bone, cutting meat up, because I think there'd be a considerable incentive to getting out of here. You know, the smell has now gotten its way into the predator world, and the grizzlies and all the birds and the wolves and the coyotes are all starting to make their way towards here. I think people probably said, I think this was kind of an industrial site. I think of it in that way. Very much a sacred one. I don't want to make it sound mechanical. I think it was a very sacred place, and a lot of we know great ceremonies were steeped in here along with this. But I see it very much as kind of an industrial site in that, you know, there was a process. They went through it. They knew from step to step what they were going to do, and the whole idea was to get out of here with the proceeds from this kill. And this was not a campsite. You know, it's not a place they would stay very long. For many of the reasons that are easily understandable. It would not be a very attractive place to be in the aftermath of a massive buffalo kill. So I think they moved on out of here.
Well, you can recall, just as I can, this isn't even, you know, when you're excavating, when you've got these archaeological units opened up, this is not a great place to be right after it's rained. I mean, the smell would come out was pretty rank still. I mean, you know, after, when's the last buffalo kill? You know, easily 200 years ago. But I'll tell you, there's enough organic content still in what remains here that when you have an area exposed and it gets rained on.
I'm sure that was especially true for you guys and your crew. See, I never dug up here. And so I never got down into those kind of more greasy layers of fur and, you know, the stuff you and Barney came across.
In those upper...
Could you actually smell?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. It was pretty obvious what it was. I mean, it smelled like decaying flesh, pure and simple. Well, it was. I mean, it still was. The grease and whatnot was still in the soil, and there was enough of it around that it was fine as long as it was dry. But once it got wet, you could smell it. And there were a number of places there where you'd find pretty good patches of bison hair still, clumps and matted and whatnot. I don't really recall ever seeing anything that I would call actually any of the leather hide, but there was lots of hair around in the upper levels too. And again, when that stuff got wet, no, not a favorite by any means.